Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, I had my mic muted. All right, let me transition over and bam, there we are. Now you can just see me, right?
I can see you.
Okay. Why don't you give me a test 1, 2, 3 so I can see if people can hear you?
Test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, looks good. I think people can hear you.
Oh.
So I have a counter going. Now we're starting to get people. So what I need from these people, Katie, because I can see the chat and you can't. Unless of course, I think technically, Katie, you could on your iPad in the future. And thank you everybody for watching us as we tech this thing out. You could actually have your iPad up with the volume down on the live stream, and you could read the chat comments as well, but it'd be a little bit delayed. It's about a 12-second delay on this.
Or I could just rely on you to,
You don't want to do that.
I do that every day.
Yeah, that's true. Not tomorrow. It'll be you and Damien and Jason.
I know. It's a different iteration of the morning show tomorrow.
What if you end up being done with the show tomorrow and you're like, my God, this is so much better.
Then I'll storm into our boss's office and demand a change.
When did you get home? So just for the people joining us, I want you to say on the chat below, because I got the chat in front of me, I'm really looking for people to let us know if you can see and hear Katie okay. And I know
See and hear me okay.
Yeah, exactly. Is her voice and my voice, are the levels different, or is she louder or softer than me? Obviously, seeing is better than hearing, of course, and that goes with all the women in my life. But we want to make sure that you can see. When did you get home?
30 minutes ago.
I thought, and I don't know how. I never know when you're actually you're starting to get some really fun, and sometimes not so fun, depending on the situation. Post game chats with our guy DeMarcus, but tonight was awesome, and I had to tweet that out because him saying he's one of the best. He has a chance to be one of the best bigs in the league when I retire.
Yeah. It was funny because coming off of the last one that we had, where they won and he had 55 points. I was not expecting him to be upset about anything.
Right.
And so today, just he's in a good mood, powering through it. And then I caught it, but I caught it like delayed. And then I had to like walk it back and be like, okay, that was funny. I'm allowed to laugh. And then I moved on with the rest of the interview. Yeah, it's fun. Live TV is fun, Dave.
Well, yeah, and you didn't purposely cut your mic out this time, so I appreciate that. It was.
Oh yeah, have that kind of power.
It was nice this time. There wasn't a conspiracy.
Technically, it was my fault. We had a wonky microphone, and so I hit it. I hit it when I don't think you can't see it on the camera. What happened in that situation is you could tell, obviously, that DeMarcus was getting agitated. I always hold my microphone with my right hand, so then that way I'm not reaching across my body while I'm doing an interview. And when I asked him about the mouthpiece flying out of his mouth, if he spit it or not, and he answered, but he was obviously getting more worked up, and I felt him kind of pulling away, and I'm like, I don't want him to leave the interview. So I switched hands with the microphone, and I took my right hand and I grabbed him around the waist and I pulled him back into the interview so that he couldn't go, and I left my hand there so that he wasn't going to go anywhere.
That's kind of dangerous.
No, it's not, because I have a good working relationship with him, and which was so funny afterwards, the number of people on Twitter that was like, oh, she's scared of him. I'm like, no. Hardly. That's obviously not the case. But.
No, I don't know that many things you are scared of, honestly. I wish you were more scared of me.
You know what? I am a little bit scared of you, because the few times where we've kind of gotten into it and I've kind of stalked you.
Hey, we're live streaming right now, okay?
I know, but you have these silly man strength,
Yeah, my
You
wife.
know, like the guy that in the book that's petting the rabbits.
Yeah, of mice and men. Yeah, my wife
Yeah.
has a word for it we won't use on the stream.
Yeah, it's not okay. I did too. That's why I was kind of walking around with it.
So here's the problem, Katie. I mean, there's not a lot of problems, but here's a problem. I was looking at the schedule coming up. So I will join you in Portland on Wednesday, and that will be fun. And then after Portland, it is, I believe, Memphis and Miami.
Nope. Memphis at home on New Year's Eve, and then we leave
Denver.
on the 2nd and go to Denver for one game and then come back.
So Denver is wait.
January 3rd.
So the only games between now and next Tuesday are Portland and Memphis?
Yeah.
Really? Hold on, I'm gonna block your face here. Oh, it's behind you. Good. Let me look at the schedule here.
Yeah, it's oh, my battery's about to die.
That's our yeah. Let me. That's scary. I could have. I really. It's not. I'm not doubting you. Yeah.
No.
God dang it. That's right. Portland and Memphis. It's it. Cause here's the deal. If they beat Portland and they beat Memphis, I can't come back. And people think I'm joking. You know I'm not joking. I can't come back.
I know you're not joking, but I also know that you're a smart enough individual to know that that doesn't play any part of it.
Nope.
I
Nope,
also
not smart
think
enough.
that smart enough individual to know that we get very little vacation in radio, and we the sick days and the personal days, like we really squander though. You know, you don't squander them because you need them. So it'll be a true test for you, Dave.
Here's the thing, though.
I was thinking on the way home though, if and I hate to like project like, oh, if the Kings win, blah blah blah, because I don't, you know, you can beat the best team in the league and then you can lose to the worst team in the league the following game. It's just kind of how the NBA works. But I was trying to think of the last time the Kings had a 7-game win streak. They had a 5-game win streak last year. Other than that, they never won more than 3 in a row last season. And I'd have to go back over the last several seasons. I know there hasn't been a 7-game win streak since I've been working for the team, and that started in 2007.
They haven't had a 7-game winning streak in 9 freaking years. What about, was there maybe a 7-game win streak during the dumb years where they were stupid and brought in Jim Gray and you weren't here?
I mean, there's a possibility. I think it's actually fairly unlikely, though.
Here, check this out from Scott. Dave, if you come back during the winning streak, you should be wearing a garlic necklace and sleeping upside down just to justify your superstitions. I wouldn't. Crash Davis said it in Bull Durham. You never blank with a winning streak. You can't.
But I think it's really cute that you think that that you're like the deciding factor in all this.
I know.
Just because you got up on a ladder, Dave.
I know that it looks like when people are superstitious that it's like the worst. It's the most blatant form of narcissism. I understand that, and it's.
I wouldn't even say narcissism. I would say stupidity. But
it's
I mean,
not.
I can say that to you. I'm just saying, like as a player, like it was to me that was the stupidest thing. I felt like it was. Players that are superstitious to me is them making an excuse for things that they can control, but they want to believe that, you know, putting one sock and shoe on in a certain order, like that's really what it's about, because there's so many things that can happen before games. Like your schedule can get thrown off. Look at what happened in Philly. Like what would have happened if that game were changed, right? Like they ended up playing it but an hour and a half later. And you've already messed up your pregame routine, like all of that. There's always things that can happen. So I think that when you have superstitions, you're giving yourself that excuse for something to go wrong if you fail.
I guarantee you, if you asked every freaking player in that locker room and you told them the situation, right? If you told them the situation, I'll bet you. If not, I was just trying to look it up and play the clip. I'll bet you most, if not all, would say, I don't care what it is. It's not like me not working is why they're winning. It's that if I came back from work and they didn't win, I would blame myself. And I know there's a bunch of people out there that would also blame me. And I promise you, Jerry would have gotten it too. Now, Jerry came back tonight and they won. But I promise you, if they lost to Philadelphia tonight, people would have been, not everybody, but there would have been a decent group of people that would have blamed Jerry.
Decent group of people, meaning the morons that have nothing better to do than gripe at people on Twitter. We know what, small, minuscule percentage of the population that is, Dave. Just because you immerse yourself in that world, that social media world, does not mean that is a great representation of what other people are thinking, which is the vast majority of people.
See, I don't know how to poll for this. Normally, I'd say I'll put out.
I don't know how to poll for this.
I don't. Normally, I would say that I will put out a poll on Twitter saying, "Hey, what should I do?" Blah blah blah. But there's going to be a lot of people that are be like, "Oh, screw you! Don't come back to work just to be dicks."
So I'm gonna die. So just bear with me right now while I get a charger for my phone.
Don't die. All right, then let me do a little promo like I was doing before you were on. So while Katie's getting a charger, for those of you just tuning in, and I see you guys, Scott, and David, and the rest of you on here. This is just I'm tech testing while we're on vacation, as Katie can assess. Hey, it's Katie in a robe. As Katie can assess, I've been holed up like a freaking mad scientist trying to figure out some of this stuff. And this is something I want to start doing just to goof around. So right above me on your screen, you can see the YouTube thing. We'll probably adjust the YouTube thing and make it a KH2K or a drive thing as soon as this becomes set. And then above that is the Twitter handle. Katie's is at Katie, KAYTE _C. Hey, shut up. Jeez, I'm muting her.
Come on, Bagel.
No,
go outside?
I muted myself. Can't mute her. Just like real life. So,
everybody say hi to Bagel.
That's your new puppy.
That's my new puppy. That's Bagel. Down you go.
Okay, so check this out. Here's how dumb this dog is, right? So, whoa! Katie Christensen just abused her dog on a stream.
Whatever. It's because I'm trying to do your silly whatever we're doing thing.
You know what's funny is on the one I did earlier, this true story, I had my little Chewiener in here, Nacho, and right as we were leaving, somebody said, "Hey, make Nacho dance." So she was lying on me, like on my chest. So I picked her up to put her on the screen, and she goes, "You're," and I felt so bad.
Hello.
Let's see. Scott says this is superior to Periscope. David says your old Periscope used to buffer too much. I agree. And then RBK Francis says this is weird. And I don't know. I mean, weird isn't bad. I don't know if it's good or bad weird.
Oh, well, it would have been even weirder if my phone would have just died, because I literally am at 1% right now and plugged it in just in time. We constantly have this conversation when we're FaceTiming, Dave, about what would it be like if people could listen into our FaceTime conversations.
Yes.
This doesn't really work because we're very filtered right now.
Yes. I don't think we could do unfiltered because, well, first off, we'd never get sponsors, and so and
it depends on what kind of sponsor we're looking for.
Well, one of us would probably get fired eventually. The one that works for the respectable organization. I think my guys can handle it just fine. You work for the big foofy NBA team. They might have a problem.
I work for the guys you work for too.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, but you're split. You'd still probably have one job left, but you'd be doing sideline reporting.
If you have to gamble with something, I'm gonna gamble with the one that pays me less.
That's what I'm saying. So, wow, the Kings pay you less than KHTK? That's
no,
crazy.
That is not the case.
So, wow, we have a bunch of. David wants to know why this can't be unfiltered. Well, it's in all seriousness, a couple of things. Like, I could be unfiltered on my podcast. People and some people might remember that when I was fired, but the problem is that number one, you can't. It's tough to get sponsors, when
We're messing around here, so I don't know what you're doing. I
no,
get you have thoughts for it. Yeah.
yeah, I have thoughts down the road, so that's number one. But that's not. We're not doing this to sell it. The other thing is, yeah, if there was clips of Katie saying half the stuff she says, you
I don't know what
know.
I'm talking about. Well, while I'm on here, because it's 11:35 and I have to get up for work in
Oh my God,
less
that's
less
right.
less than 4.5 hours. Is there any questions? Anybody have any questions about Kings related stuff?
Ooh, questions for Katie. Questions for Katie. A lot of Kings fans. Yes. Hey, questions for Katie. So get on my Twitter or get on the YouTube chat. Oh, where is my YouTube chat? I had a YouTube. I did. I had a YouTube chat right there. Hold on. Where is that stinking thing? Hold on. Let me go.
Everyone, I apologize for Dave. He doesn't know what he's doing
Oh,
yet.
I had it. All right, pop out. All right, there you are. Is that, yeah, okay. Now go over here. Okay, so let me minimize your ass. All right, and then I should be able to um, add. Sorry, Katie. I know you have to get up in the morning. Window capture. Add existing. YouTube chat. Bam! Right there. I just did YouTube chat live, Katie, because I'm a badass.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you used your vacation to get away from work and
I know.
get in touch with your children.
I know. I'm psycho. I don't. 2 weeks here alone, or not alone, but what am I supposed to do? Go outside and shoot hoops with my son, or read to my daughter?
I don't know, paint your bathroom or
Oh no, that's stupid shit. There's stupid stuff you do. Oh, see. Let's see. Questions for Katie. A lot of Kings fans, Katie, want to see more of Malachi. When do you think we'll see him get any minutes? And that's from Scott.
well, with the Kings in technically a playoff hunt right now, I don't expect it anytime
Playoff
soon.
hunt, nothing. They're in the playoffs. They're in the eighth
Yeah,
seed.
but I mean, I call it a playoff hunt, Dave.
Okay.
Calm yourself, super fan, because we're not even in January yet. It is kind of crazy though, kind of how the West is shaping up. So it could be very interesting. I don't know. We'll see after the All-Star break if there's any moves that are made before the trade deadline. What happens there? I think that he's a promising young talent, and I actually a lot of people are like upset that they've got like the draft picks playing in the D League, but honestly, like at this point with the team, they're not going to get consistent minutes, as you can see. So I would rather have them playing a ton of minutes, gaining confidence, playing NBA rules, playing with the NBA 3-point line, with NBA officials, and getting kind of more accustomed to the league and gaining flow and momentum. So I'm okay with them spending time in the D League. This is where it sucks, is when they come back up and they sit on the end of the bench. So I don't know that we're going to see much of him this season. You kind of looked as well, Dave. You know this is Dave Yeager in his time as an NBA head coach. He was in Memphis, so that was a veteran team that did not play a lot of young guys. They didn't have to rely on rookies and developing and that kind of thing. So I think he has a tendency to kind of go towards older guys and vets, and he should be right now too, with kind of where their situation, where they're placed in the standings at the moment.
We were talking about this earlier as to whether it's so hard to figure out. The Kings didn't lose when Rudy Gay was out. This whole streak was with Rudy Gay out. Then he comes back and they almost lose.
Well, they almost lost all those games. All
True.
those games, they were down. They were trailing going into the fourth quarter. It was the fourth quarter where they really locked down defensively. Rudy actually came up really big for them tonight in the fourth quarter. But there's a marked difference with Rudy on the court, and it's no knock against Rudy because he's an established NBA veteran and a scorer in this league. But it's a different type of style. He's a flow player. He needs to dribble himself into kind of a motion, into a flow. He's not much of a catch and shoot player, and so the ball moved a little bit better without him. They were pretty crisp. I even saw DeMarcus moving the ball better with Rudy out, because I think he just kind of got into the habit of realizing, okay, we're going to whip the ball around. If I let it go right now, I'm going to get it back. So I think hopefully Rudy kind of gets into that as well, because that's what's winning them games right now.
Does it tell you even a little bit? Do you start thinking, is it okay for fans to start thinking, hey, if we're doing this without Rudy Gay, then whatever we get for Rudy Gay, that's just cherry on top, because we're definitely not worse without him? Or is that a slippery slope?
It's a good question, but I think it's a slippery slope as well. There comes a point when, for a team and for a front office, in my opinion, obviously I've played, but I've never been in a front office. But there comes a time where I think you look at the players on your team and you say, we have a lot of talent. I like the guys. Obviously, I like these guys because I'm the person that brought them in, but it's not working. And why is it not working? And so I think a lot of things that front office guys do is they look at the players they have and they have a high opinion of them and they want to get a lot in return. But you also have to realize at some point, yeah, well, I have a high opinion of him, but at the same time, he hasn't been the answer for me. So we have to move on, get the most that you can, but don't turn something down that could potentially be a better situation for your team just because it's not the level of talent that you were hoping for. I think draft picks are kind of one of the best things that you could do. I mean, trading players for other players, unless it's premier player. Dave, seriously, how many trades that happen during the course of a season are blockbuster, game-changing trades?
That's what we were talking about earlier.
Salaries and things like that.
It's February or summer. Yeah. Summer times when the blockbusters happen. Yes. February is where we need one more step. There's a guy injured.
I think if you can get draft picks, solid draft picks, and increase kind of the problem, or alleviate some of the problem that some past decisions with giving away draft picks for this team has done, I think that's successful.
So, serious questions now here. Katie, is it a cab or a Pinot Noir?
That actually is a cab, and I don't drink a lot of cabs. Yeah.
Wow, good call. This guy on Twitter, let me get the handle right since he's watching, which is cool. This is at Gene G77, Gene Ross. For Katie, George Carl says DMC, DeMarcus Cousins is. Now this says disrespectable. I'm just guessing he forgot an R. Yeah, disrespect. I believe he means disrespectful. That DeMarcus is disrespectful.
I read something along those lines.
Do you find that to be true? Hard hitting.
Yes and no, I guess, but you can say that about every single person on the team. I think, at least the way I was raised, and I talk back to my parents quite frequently. I did it recently when they came down at the beginning of the season, and I was super stressed out and had a bunch of people in my house, and I was trying to pack for a long road trip, and I snapped at my parents, and it was disrespectful. And then I turned around and I wrote them an apology letter from the road in Atlanta.
Damn right.
And so I think everybody is disrespectful at times, and DeMarcus is no different, and neither is, the 15th guy on the roster. It just depends on the situation. DeMarcus Cousins and George Karl did not get along. That is not breaking news. I think there was disrespect on both sides. And we all know that with DeMarcus, respect and loyalty is the most important thing. And so the way that I kind of look at George Karl is I can only look at things based on my interactions with someone. I didn't have great interactions with George Karl. And so he can say that DeMarcus was disrespectful, but I can say that on multiple occasions, George Karl was disrespectful. I'm not talking about to his players. I'm talking about from my personal experience. And so he can go and write a book and throw stones, and that's fine. And he's a coach that has been through a lot, and you can't deny his resume and his record. But there's some part of me that there's some irony that he's writing these things about these players that have carried him take DeMarcus out of the picture. He's talking about Kenyon Martin. He's talking about Carmelo Anthony. He's talking about a lot of players that have carried him through his coaching career. And now he's going to pick up a pen and paper and, just rake them through the coals and say some pretty despicable things like, oh, that's someone that didn't grow up with a father. I don't know if anyone read the piece by Kenyon Martin in the Players Tribune, but I highly recommend it.
Yes, it was excellent.
It was excellent. So I know a bunch of people are going to get George Karl's book and they're going to want to find out what he said about DeMarcus Cousins and the Kings. But I would focus less on what he said about DeMarcus Cousins and the Kings and look at what he said about a team in Denver that was successful. And if he's talking so much trash about a team that was successful, then how much credence do you give to what he's saying about a team that was not successful with him?
Yeah, I read it, and I know one thing. I know that I think 90% of the book I really enjoyed. I really did. His basketball mind and some of the stories that he told and the way he put it out there, like, what was it, like, pretend you're next to me at a bar and you ask me about the game of basketball and you're buying the beers and here's the stories and all that. Like, it was really enjoyable. But then the axes to grind, I know it's him being honest, so great. I that's fine. Here's what's interesting, though. I know that, and you've read about this, I'm sure that, there were some, he's going to apparently write an addendum to the book, is what I heard, when his contract expires, because of the NDA he signed with the Kings, which is why, even though the Kings situation was maybe the worst he's been in as far as success, he'd only missed the playoffs once in his career, and it's also the freshest, he probably took it easier on the Kings than any of his other teams, including, obviously, Denver. And that's because
he was there for the shortest amount of time.
And went through a ton. He's got a lot more stuff, I think, to say on the Kings and on DeMarcus Cousins, but because of the contract and because they're still paying him, $20 million. First off, if I stole $20 million from somebody, I would be really nice to them, which is basically what
I'm
he
sorry,
did.
you just said $20 million, and I thought 11:47 at night. I'm about to go to my second job tomorrow morning in like 4 hours.
Okay, well, hey,
$20 million?
You know what? You're right, and it is almost midnight, so this is perfect for the last question. Katie, how do you function with the lack of sleep? My mind would be mud. Can I answer that? She doesn't. And that's why in the morning, when you hear her all cranky with me and being angry with me for no reason, it's because she doesn't get any sleep at all.
Dave, it's funny. You and I had this conversation, and so this is kind of me letting people into our like weird conversations that we had. You came over. I came home after the Dallas game,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Back after the Dallas game, that was the game that got the time got changed because it was Sunday, and they wanted to watch the Cowboys and whatnot. And so it was a 3:00 game. I think I got back at like 9:30 that night to my house from Dallas, which normally I get back anywhere between 1 and 2:30 in the morning to the house, and then I get up at 4 to go to work. You came over because you and Mel and the kids went to do Christmas lights in my neighborhood, and we sat out here and talked for like an hour, I think. And you were like, "Why aren't you in bed? Why aren't you?"
I kept telling you to go to bed.
Yeah, you kept telling me to go to bed, but it's gotten to the point where we survive off of naps. Like during the summer, like coming into the season, I napped every single day. I think I've taken in the whole month of December maybe 2 or 3 naps. I think the honest to God answer is I think I've gotten used to being sleep deprived, and the second part of that answer is that's giving me a lot of credit to think that my mind is not mush. I'm actually not sure that it's not.
Well, this year with the travel, it's a hard enough grind to do a morning show just as far as waking up and getting sleep. Like, I know for me, and I have like the kids to deal with and all that, but dude,
yeah, this is something, again, like you and I talk about this a lot privately, but since this is private, right?
Yeah, it's private. There's only 30 something people watching.
The difficult part, the hardest part for me is not the work. The work I know, the radio, the prepping, the Kings, the NBA. Like I know that stuff. The hardest thing for me in doing both of these jobs at the same time is that I live alone. I have my own house. I have responsibilities. I have dogs. So like when I travel, I don't board my dogs. I have to arrange for someone to be here. The hardest thing for me is dealing with life things, like making sure that my bills are paid and that the responsibilities around the house, like getting the plumber here to fix a leaky sink or whatever, like the garbage getting out, like those are getting my oil changed. I'm having a hard time managing adult responsibilities outside of my job. That's where it gets difficult.
All right. I think it's time to go because Bill in South Sacramento says he'd be happy to change your oil, but
I go to Jiffy Lube for that.
That's true.
You can get great coupons at jiffylube.ca.
You remembered my read, jiffylube.ca.com. Hey, and
coupons, valuable coupons.
And
valuable coupons.
They're powerful coupons, Katie.
They're valuable coupons.
All right. Hey, you stick around because I'm gonna hang up with you and then I'm gonna call you right back. Okay. So I'm gonna.
All right.
Good
night, everybody. Thanks for joining our whatever this is.
Mm-hmm. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right. So that's Katie. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me get rid of that screen there for you. And that's it. Now let me see. I think I can actually play some outro music. Can't I? Can I play outro music? Let me see. Oh, I can. It's probably either way too loud or way too soft. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in to a double shot chat. I had to wait for Katie to get home to see if the FaceTime worked. I noticed that the mouth was out of sync with the audio, and I think you guys probably heard that too. So I'll check out some other options. Skype's probably the way to go for sure, but just testing along, adding some new stuff. We'll start doing some video clips and stuff. A lot of people are saying this reminds them of the old podcast night show. I hope it reminds you of that feel, but I really do hope that the tech is going to be a little bit better and more interactive on this one. Not that we didn't have fun with that. It was great, but man, everything was, if you go back to those nighttime days, whether it's at the station or at the in my guest room in my old house, everything was held together by a string, and I didn't know how to run any of it. So check this out. What do you think? Got this. I get to show off some of my stuff too. Got this in Mexico last summer. All right. Thanks, guys. Seriously, take care, and we'll be doing more of this stuff. Have a good night, and go Kings. Big win.